Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin.
And we're back with the news, episode 22.
Yes.
Slightly hungover, but not too bad.
You're slightly hungover, and I was slightly hungover last week. So, on average, you're getting the same amount of performance you got last week.
Yeah, but speaking of things that are fun, Smash Brothers. We didn't get to announce this last week.
Right.
So this is slightly delayed news.
Yeah. This news came out, I think, 2 hours after we recorded. And Bayonetta and Corrin from Fire Emblem are both live on Smash Brothers now. They actually came up last week, so apologies for getting that to you a bit late. But yeah, they're in, and I gotta say, Bayonetta beating up Pikachu is hilarious. Yes. Like, that's just funny.
And Kirby stealing Bayonetta's hair is really cool too.
I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm honestly not really don't really care about the Corrin news, but I didn't play any. I played a little bit of Fire Emblem. I need to play it more, so I don't have that nostalgia for it. I don't have that built-in fandom. But Bayonetta, awesome
Bayonetta's
stuff. Cool. Yeah.
The next thing we have is PlayStation voting starts February 9th. So
fantastic, which they did last year once, right?
I know we got to vote on Grow Home, and I feel like there was another one, but I don't remember what it was.
Because they had this for a little bit, and I thought, oh, this is really cool, because some of them, everyone, it was a unanimous feeling of, why did they give us this? And I thought, okay, well, if they're giving us at least some choice, we can eliminate some of that. Certain games like the chicken game for Vita and different ones like that, the hard-boiled rocket birds, ones like that. It's like, okay, I don't want it. I can immediately tell this is not something that I'd be interested in. There were others that I would have voted for. I like that they're giving us that choice. I know they're not going to give us the choice of every single slot, which I completely understand. There's business reasons for that they do on the back end. Be it because a new game is going to be released, because some tie-ins that they do, like Rocket League, where they have a special. Okay, this is launching, but it's going to be a really big indie game, so we'll go ahead and give it to you for free to get that built-in fan base, which is fine. It's fine. Giving us some of this input is fantastic, though. I love that.
Don't like it.
What?
No, I just want to get the games. I do like that so the three options are going to be Action Hank, Assault Android Cactus, and Broforce. Action Hank is the one that I know least about, but apparently it's like a past his prime guy. He does butt slides. That sounds funny. Assault Android Cactus is like a twin stick shooter, which I've really gotten to. Twin stick shooters. I've really started to dig those in the past couple of years. Fun, and then Broforce is, as far as I can tell, it's Super Time Force Ultra without time travel, and I already have that game.
That's true. But it's very. I know Super Time Force is very 80s as well, but like, I feel like this is more, from what I've seen of it, it's more of like the action hero 80s kind of stuff. Either way, this is a great example of like, if they'd given us Action Hank, and you didn't know that either one of these was going to be on the slab, it's a great example of, okay, you just want the games, but in this case, at least you can weed out this one that no one wants. It's the Trump of the leaders here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But so you can go on and starting February 9th. What's today? I don't know. Today is irrelevant because it's not the day that you're seeing this. But anyway, starting February 9th,
it pops the day that you're seeing this.
It pops up on the PlayStation Plus section thingy, and so you can select it there. And if yours doesn't make it, then support your developer and go ahead and buy it because it'll be discounted. Exactly. I do kind of like that.
Exactly.
So that is that thing.
Speaking of supporting your developer, so The Witness came out.
Yes. And people really like it.
People really like it, and apparently, so it's outperformed Braid in the first week.
Financially. Not per unit yet.
Sure. Financially, it's outperformed it, which is fine. With a ton of piracy that was going on behind the scenes. Now, this piracy obviously is something that hurts the industry, but doesn't hurt it as bad as people think. And you've seen this in regards to movies, in regards to video games, because there is a very small percentage that will do this. and there's a larger percentage that doesn't want to deal with it. Essentially, the people who do the piracy are the 4 or 5% of people that really want to get in, and they're the more hardcore people. The other 95% don't want to deal with, okay, how do I mount a drive? What do I do for this? How do I run the ISO? Do I burn this? How do I... Most people don't want to deal with that. The hardcore people like us, kind of will go in there and tinker with it maybe, but average people don't want to deal with that.
Well, the other element of it is that a lot of the assumptions when they'll put up, this game has been pirated X number of times. Yeah. That's a loss of revenue of X number of dollars. Okay, those people weren't going to buy your game anyway. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
And like there have been times, particularly when I was younger, I just didn't have money for anything. Yeah. I couldn't buy anything. And now I have to be a lot more selective, and I kind of wish I could pirate some stuff just so that I could bring a better representation of some games. Because I don't think The Witness is for me. I wish it had a demo so that I could get kind of a feel for it. But there's a lot of people that are really, really enjoying it. Yeah. But somebody was talking about, if you get frustrated at puzzles, then this game is probably not for you. Yeah. And it sounds really interesting, and I like the idea, the concept. I know that I'm not going to get very far in this game, and so I wish I could just kind of sample it. I'm not going to, but I wish I could. Anyway, so
it's only on PC. They've discussed bringing out for Xbox One the possibility,
as well as iOS and Android.
Yeah, so which is interesting. Obviously the processors in these things are pretty hardcore anyway. So if it was out on Xbox One, you would at least get a chance you could Redbox it or GameFly. If people GameFly, do you guys GameFly? Because Redbox, at least I can run out, rent a game, play it for 4 or 5 hours and bring it back. Yeah, and I've only spent a couple bucks. It's a little blockbuster.
I might start doing that.
It's kind of cool to spend a couple bucks as long as you make sure you return
to get a feel for it.
Yeah, get a feel for it. I did that with Call of Duty and a few others where it's like I don't want to buy this, but I want to play it. I want to know about it. Try it out at least. It's basically what I did when you're talking about not having as much money. When I didn't have as much money, and I did do some pirating, but what I would do, to be honest, I would do that. And if it was a game that I really enjoyed, I would purchase it. I did that with quite a few games because I thought, okay, this is really good. I need to support them. I'm going to start buying DLC. So I was I was basically supporting the developers that were giving me good products. I wasn't supporting as many as I could now, or I would like to if I had unlimited funds. But Redbox does give you a way to a quick way to do that. GameFly, you have to put it in your queue. It's the old school way Netflix did with their DVDs.
Who has time for that?
Which was great back in the day. But Redbox, or if you have obviously a local store, go support the local business. But that'll give you a way to really quickly do a couple hours of the game and go, yeah, that wasn't for me. Yeah. And then you don't have buyer's remorse. I like that. So, speaking of remorse, which has nothing to do with what I'm going to say, Bethesda has confirmed that...
Hashtag worst segue ever.
Bethesda's confirmed E3 2016 slot was going to be Sunday, which they did last year as well, I believe.
And then they said they weren't going to do it every year.
Yeah, and
which is really interesting. And this is one of the fun ones that, because me, I'm just kind of absorbing information pretty much all week, and that's what I bring to this. He's the handsome one. I'm the one who brings the information. Yeah. But there's just all kinds of crazy hypothesizing and theorizing about what it is that they're going to show, especially considering, and we'll talk about this later, but the Doom release date has come out.
Yeah, obviously.
No, Doom is going to be out before the conference.
No, that's right. Because Doom's going to be out in May.
Yeah.
Yep, that's true.
So it's not Doom.
Yeah.
So it's not Doom. I think it's going to be Fallout DLC and a surprise.
I know, and I have a prediction for the surprise.
Okay.
Prediction for the surprise is a new Elder Scrolls game.
It's a bit early, isn't it?
Skyrim was 2010, 2011.
Right, but that that is the same team that made Fallout.
Fallout 4?
Yes.
I thought they did New Vegas.
No, New Vegas was Oblivion. That was an entirely different studio.
That's right.
So
Still stand by it.
Okay.
You're going to hear
all
some.
All right. Well,
there
you go.
You're going to hear something. At least a teaser. The Skyrim games take so long. The Elder Scrolls games take so long.
Mm-hmm.
It's either that or something big. Obviously, this is a different studio that does it, but the Elder Scrolls Online. Revamping.
ZeniMax.
Yeah, revamping of that because technically it's still a Bethesda IP.
Right.
So they could throw in that. Either way, it's going to be interesting. Bethesda, in my last year, won E3.
Yes.
I know that people are like, oh, well, it's not about winning. No, Bethesda won E3 before E3 started.
Yeah, that was the biggest news, the one that was universally excited.
Oh yeah.
And the other thing is that's because like if you say that Xbox won E3, then the PlayStation people were like, well, what about the Final Fantasy? That was the most exciting for me.
Yeah.
But Bethesda came out with something that is for all the platforms, all the people. If you play games, here's the thing.
And if they do what they did last year, it's going to be remarkable because last year, in regards to timing, they said, "Here's some cool stuff." Fallout 4 is a thing, which we pretty much heard.
Well, they had a was it a teaser trailer or something? They had something that showed up before E3 actually started that let us know that it was going to be Fallout 4, but then they just spilled all this information.
All the Fallouts.
And they also had Fallout Shelter.
Exactly.
Now. Available now.
What?
And that's another thing is, like, I would be interested in seeing if they have something else mobile that they're bringing out.
That was remarkable as a tie-in because what they did was they said, hey, we have this amazing thing that is going to come out and we know you're excited about, and to make you happy in the meantime and also keep you thinking about it, here's Fallout Shelter, which will keep you thinking about Fallout while we give you little bits of news every now and then. It was remarkable. I don't know if they'll be able to pull that off again, but in regards to conferences, that was just amazing.
I think they will, but not this year.
You don't think so?
No.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that EA is not doing their regular E3 presence. They're also okay. So Bethesda's going to have their own conference Sunday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. We're going to do Central Time, and you can do the math, or you can do the math.
Yeah.
So 9 Central is when that's going to be airing, and we'll see what happens there. And a couple hours before that, EA is doing their own conference, also on Sunday.
Yeah.
I kind of like this, partially because Monday
Central
got so packed, where it was just constant all day, and that's a lot to take in, especially now that I'm going to have to be taking notes and compiling them and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then the other significant thing is on the E3 floor, EA, who has for the last I don't know how many years has had the biggest booth, biggest section. Like they took out a literal quadrant of the biggest hall for their booth, and they're not going to be there. Yeah. They're going to have a special event in Los Angeles as well as London are the two locations, and those are going to be free and open to the public, which means that the lines are going to be so long that nobody's going to get to play.
Pretty much. Camp out.
But it's a cool thing, and it's also interesting because I feel like it's an acknowledgement of how the industry and how news dispensation has changed. Yeah. Because it used to be that E3 was for them to be able to present these items to the people who were pushing the news, IGN and Polygon and GameSpot and whoever else. That's not really how it is anymore. No. I mean, I don't know how many of you actually get your news from us, but thanks. But it's more about the internet and the discussion and how that all goes. And so all of this is going to be available online, and there's going to be this little event that they have for the people, but they're not going to spend millions and millions of dollars to impress people who tell other people who post a thing that other people read. Yeah. And so I feel like that this is a way of getting a little bit closer to the actual fan base.
The more direct, the better. Anytime you have a situation like that, you have the possibility and more than likely truth of the dark side of journalism in regards to bias, in regards to not completely backdoor deals, but you do have some of that. You do have bits of, hey, we're going to show you this, but you need to do this for us, or you always have that possibility more and more. So
except with Kotaku, who has been blacklisted. Yeah, and I love them for that, and that's just a really cool thing.
So you're doing the right thing at that point.
The other thing is we still don't know what Nintendo's doing.
Yeah.
So there's again going back to hypothesis and theories. Will they have something more than just a Nintendo Direct?
I hope
which is what they did last year.
I hope so, because this is with the new president. Sorry, the new president of
Kimishima.
With him, I feel like they may be doing that, because I feel like he's trying to revitalize it, and it may, Nintendo may be able to do that. Actually, one of the things that I thought of when I heard about the EA briefing was I thought of Nintendo, because I thought, well, are they going to do a briefing up on a news conference where they just talk? Because it's not a conference, it's a briefing.
Yeah.
Are they going to have a packaged video, kind of like Nintendo does, where you have certain key figures in EA talking about this, and show a clip of this, and then show a clip, which I think is
highlights, and
which I think is a lot more polished than someone standing at a podium and then going through slides.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, but it's just a lot more polished. For a big company like EA, you can pull it off.
One other thing about that is, so last year, and the day that this comes out, Unravel comes out, which is the one that we fell in love with at E3 last year, and I
think that was awesome.
I have already pre-ordered that. That is ready to go, and I cannot wait.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if they use this opportunity to highlight other things that they're building out, because they have a lot of their own studios, but I guess starting a couple of years ago, they started to look to external studios, look to see if they could find their little crowds of people that were doing things that they were excited about.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be really cool if they can have, their press conference or whatever, and then they can also have, and here's some games that we found, and we're going to be publishing.
Yeah.
And I think that would be neat.
Yeah. Xbox did that in a way to say, here's some highlights of some indie games.
Yeah. The idea at Xbox, like their splash reel, was so much fun, and you just keep, like, even if there's one that you're like, 4 seconds later you're excited about something.
My problem was I had to keep jotting down ones to. I was like, oh wait, I want to. Oh. So I have to keep pausing. Thankfully, we can do that now, because if we didn't have DVR or YouTube, wouldn't be able to do that.
That has to be a nightmare on the floor, just trying to get notes or anything.
Because they're not. I'm pretty sure they're not allowed to have video recording. They probably do video record though. I mean,
but I mean, you need to do it. What you're going to have is like what they're broadcasting is going to be better than what you have from your phone anyway.
Sure. And they're broadcasting. I'm sure they probably doesn't matter that much, because those are open things. I mean, just to be able to keep track of all this stuff, because I, even before we did the show, was keeping track of things like that to say, okay, well, hey, this is something coming up on the horizon that I want to keep an eye on. So now we have to take full on notes for you guys.
It's funny. Anybody who has seen me with my wife knows that I pretty much do whatever she wants. I love that lady. She's wonderful. But she knows that E3 weekend is the one weekend where I'm not going to do jack.
Yeah, it's Super
I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to scroll through stuff. And speaking of Super Bowl, did you see the Kotaku review of football?
No.
Okay. There's an article, and I'll put it in the notes. There's an article where somebody took the game of football and is thinking of watching the Super Bowl this weekend, check out our review of football. And they do it in a very game-ific way.
That's cool.
Of reviewing it. And it's hilarious, and it's incredibly detailed, and it talks about the assault of the offense, and once you've worn the defense's HP to 0, you score 6 points.
Oh, okay.
and it was a lot of fun, and I like articles like that.
That's cool. Speaking of things I like, Psychonauts 2. So they did get they did successfully get crowdfunded
through Fig.
Was it Fig?
Yes, and Fig is the new investment version of Kickstarter, which I like, and because then you don't have to have $10,000 to invest in something.
Correct.
You know, regular people can invest in a thing that they believe in. The only thing is that right now legally, it's a bit odd because this is a situation that they don't usually encounter. Usually, you know, venture capital is a huge business, and it's a very, very complex, very risky business. And this is an entirely different field as far as that's concerned. So the SEC has locked the funding away until they figure out how this should be handled legally. If the company doesn't deliver, what happens then? Because Kickstarter has been this weird throw money at this thing, maybe we'll give it to you. And there's only been a couple of cases where the people actually got their money back, but there's a good chunk, there's a high failure percentage rate on Kickstarter. And so with this being a much more legally binding thing, the SEC has to actually be brought into it. And so the funding has not yet been released. They have started work on the game. They have, you know, investment from other that allows them to go ahead and get started. But it'll be really interesting to see kind of how this develops. Also, just as a quick side note, I've noticed that I say interesting way too often. So I'm going to work on that for you guys so that you don't hear me say interesting quite as often, because otherwise we're going to have to put the little South Park tag in the corner,
and counter on that for interesting.
And that just seems like too much work for you, rather than me being able to
That's true.
to increase my vocabulary.
That's true.
So yeah.
Well, I'm kind of happy about this though, because as much as I want to see Psychonauts 2, I want this accountability. When we have crowdfunding like this, I want this accountability. That way, you don't have that vacuous, you know, site. It's I'd rather have that.
It also lends validation, because, you know, if this whole thing is legal and above board and people in suits go, yes, that, then, you know, this is another acknowledgement that this is a legitimate thing. This is not a thing for kids anymore. It was never just for kids, but the industry as a whole is growing up and maturing and becoming this new thing. And it's really fascinating. That's my new substitute. It's really fascinating to watch how various elements of art and corporate and independent thinking and all these things weave in and out of each other. And so watching that is I mean, that's why we do this. Because it's fun to watch.
It's really cool. It's a really interesting animal behind the scenes.
Speaking of budgets, money. Cliff Bleszinski came out and he said that the reason that his game is not going to have, I'm sorry, I forget which one it is, because there's like 5 that are all the same.
It's Lawbreakers. Which is another one of the Overwatch, Lawbreakers, all the other, right?
Anyway, so also Overwatch is now also Felicity Smoke's code name on the Arrow TV show, so that just got even more confusing, and so now I'm just going to think of them all as Overwatch, not the hot hacker. Anyway, he said that the reason that they were not going to have a campaign in his first-person shooter is, he says that that for when you make a first-person shooter, that creation of the campaign and managing all those assets takes 75% of the budget.
Not surprising to me.
Really? Then why is it that multiplayer-only shooters aren't half the price?
Because they can.
I'm sorry. It's using the same assets. All you have to do is like you create the tunnel that you run the characters through, and AI.
The amount of map building, timing, the amount of action events that you have to program for. There's a lot that goes into all of that, as well as just writing a story and everything. The reason that these games that are multiplayer only are coming out for the same price is because people will still pay the same price for them. It's because people are suckers.
Alright, okay.
It started out,
I'll give you that.
Here's a campaign, we'll give you a couple maps to play.
Right.
And the maps were throwaway. It was just, here's some extra stuff we did for fun. And then you got more and more extra stuff for fun. And then it just became, here's all the extra stuff, and we didn't plan on actually doing it. It's essentially someone cooked a couple side dishes and forgot to put in a main course and a dessert, and they gave you mashed potatoes and green beans, and that's your dinner.
So, fun fact that I learned within the past couple of weeks, GoldenEye's multiplayer mode was put in less than 6 months before release.
Yeah, wouldn't know.
They just kind of went, oh yeah, we can do this.
Multiplayer does not take hardly any effort compared to everything else. Building assets that you're building, you take for the main story, and then you just take some of that and you throw it into a multiplayer part.
Yeah, because for each one of the scenes you have to do, this is a one-use map.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then but the thing that what he's saying is it costs that much of the budget because of the time of planning out all of these maps, planning all this different things. Now, what you could do, which he's not talking about, what you could do is you could do something that I've mentioned on the show, Battlefront with a story. So give me a campaign mode where I run through all of those missions for a reason. You give me a reason for it. That would not take 75% more of the budget. Okay. What he's saying is a traditional FPS campaign where you have a story and you're going through all this, like you said, the tunnel, and then you have a big thing in the tunnel. And then, no, if you did a Battlefront or a Titanfall where you gave me a campaign of all the maps, where you give me a reason to be there, essentially you give me a quick cutscene and audio beforehand, or heck, even audio while I'm playing the game. Yeah. Does not take 75% of the budget.
Yeah, there are cheaper ways to do it.
There are cheaper ways to do it, and what he's saying here is the traditional way that they used to do it, 75% of it was the single-player campaign.
Okay.
And then what they did was they went, hey, let's use that asset here. Hey, let's use that asset here.
Well, Blazinski was the Gears
Gears
guy,
of War,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
And Gears of War was a single-player game that they tacked on multiplayer for.
Okay.
So what he's saying is...
from his perspective of somebody who made campaigns and then tacked on single-player, now he wants... Okay.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah,
this
Kevin, is why...
You have watched me figure this out live on this episode of TWIOCH.
This is Blazinski basically saying... Yeah, we want to charge you the exact same price for a multiplayer game, as opposed to we want to spend 25% of the budget that we would normally spend,
and get 100% of your money.
And because otherwise, you'd pay $15 for Battlefront.
It's true. Speaking of multiplayer games, Counter-Strike Go, they had a really fascinating thing that showed up this week. It was a cheat that you. Yes, I'm going to, because it's hard for me to figure it out on the fly.
No, that's okay.
Anyway.
I'm laughing because it's awesome.
Okay.
I'm not laughing at you.
Not sure if I believe that. So yeah, there are places where you can go and download cheats, and somebody uploaded a cheat for Counter-Strike Go that once you engaged it, it basically sent a message to the server that said, hey, ban this player. And they managed to ban 3,000 users. And the only way to get banned in this particular way was to download this cheat and then try to play on the live server, which I thought was hilarious. Because can you really be mad? It's like the people that on Far Cry, when it first came out, they're like, hey, the view's all messed up. And I was like, yeah, that's in the day one patch. That only happens if you're not playing a legitimate copy.
Yeah. Because it was a day one patch of a game that... even if you bought the game, it came with a Steam code. Mm-hmm. So there was no way of saying, well, I installed it from a disc. No, you didn't. Yeah. It had to install from Steam. So
that was fun.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. To me, it's like you said, you can't get mad at it, and it's a really cool way of trolling. Someone actually just said, I'm gonna create a hack that bans the people that use the hack.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. That was cool.
Yeah.
Things in real life though, because occasionally gaming and internet and stuff bleeds over into the real world. So those of you familiar with the term swatting, which is where you report a thing and have a literal SWAT team come to somebody's house. Representative Clark, I don't know her first name.
Catherine Clark.
Catherine Clark has been one of the people who's very big into the idea of if you are someone who does this to someone, you are going to face incredible legal consequences. You should.
The cost of that and you using... they could be somewhere else helping someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a really terrifying thing, and the potential for a fatal accident where somebody gets shot, injured, or even killed because you wanted to be a douchebag is incredible. Yeah. And so Representative Clark has been pushing through various pieces of legislation saying this needs to be a big thing that we need to make the consequences big enough that nobody wants to do this. And somebody sent a SWAT team to her house, which is probably the best way of getting that legislation passed.
Oh, yeah.
Because then it's first-person experience. She can say, men with guns and armored vehicles, and people could have been shot.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a really bad way to have people to come to your house, and it's a terrifying thing, I would imagine.
Oh, I'm sure.
I see this as, in the end, a positive, because it's something, and I think we agree that this is a thing that needed to be moved forward.
For sure.
Going back to E3, last year at E3, Reggie Fils-Aimé said, I haven't seen what's on the floor as far as VR, but it's not social and it's not fun. Yeah. And a bunch of people went, what?
You don't?
No, you can't just... No. Reggie, stop it. So this year at the last Nintendo Financial, they said, hey, so it turns out that VR might be social, might be fun. We're looking into it. Yeah. So we'll see what they do, if anything, as far as the NX is concerned. But that is another example of the company actually noticing what's going on in the gaming industry and seeing where they can work that to their advantage.
It only took them a year, which for Nintendo is pretty quick.
Well, and honestly, it's something that I feel has happened in the last 6 months. Yeah. Like there has been a dramatic refocusing. I love Nintendo, but there was a lot of Nintendo. Mm-hmm. Skipping ahead in the notes, Mother 3 being released is something that North America, we've been waiting so long for this one. Earthbound was Mother 2. Yep. A lot of people didn't even know that. It's just kind of a weird era in JRPGs coming to the West.
The whole renaming and not knowing which one is which.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 4 and 6 and 2 and 3 and Mother 2. Yep. Anyway, there has been a fan translation of Mother 3 available in its entirety for the past decade and a half. But they just haven't bothered to bring it to shores. And the team that did the translation has actually, way back in the day, came out and said, hey, Nintendo, if you want to use our translation, we have done all the work for you of localization. Please just let people play this game. Yeah. And so right now there's the belief that will be coming to the West.
We did all the development for you.
Yeah,
just publish it.
We have done all the work. Let people play this game that you made, we helped with. Yeah. Let them play it. And that's something that it's one of the things that they just never talked about. They wouldn't acknowledge it. They wouldn't answer questions about it. Mm-hmm. And this is something that people have been asking for. Doesn't take a lot of effort, but it does foster the goodwill that comes with it.
Well, it's because Reggie doesn't understand what the people want. No. Nintendo doesn't understand the West, and Reggie doesn't understand the West either. Nintendo of America, the president of Nintendo of America, should understand the demographic, should understand what Americans want. Reggie has shown, ever since I heard his name, so what is that, 10 years? He is proven he has no idea what we want. And when he's told, hey, people want this, he goes, you really don't.
They don't want that.
They don't really want that. Even when you have petitions regarding Earthbound. Mm-hmm. When is Earthbound going to come out? He
literally tens of thousands of people said, please give us this thing.
Yes. And he said that it's just really not something we are focused on because people don't want it. Even though people did say that they wanted it. Mm-hmm. Because he thought, well, that's that many signatures, but we're probably not going to get very many sales. You got a lot of sales out of that. Yeah. I don't understand how this man still has a job.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'll be honest. I mean that in the nicest way. I don't want him to be unemployed. I'm just saying.
We want him to be employed, just not
in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand America or the gaming industry.
Well, the
maybe
thing is,
he would be really good for Nintendo in Japan.
entirely possible.
Yeah, he may be really good there. I think it's someone else in America.
But the thing is that gaming is and I was kind of talking about this earlier. It's a very unique collaboration of business and internet hype and art.
Yes.
And like I said, the thing that I'm biggest excited about was Lego Avengers, and that's a big, huge project thing. I am actually more excited about Unraveled. Yeah. And that's just this little thing by 12 guys, and a guy went on vacation and went, hey, what can we build out of things that are in this cabin?
Yeah.
And apparently, I was listening to an interview with him last week, and apparently they like built a little wire mesh frame, and then went over to an arts and crafts area over in like a summer camp thing next door, and borrowed supplies from this little kid that was making stuff, and he was like, hey, can I have some of your yarn? And they made Yarny out of...
That is really cool.
That really is cool. Awesome.
I wondered where he got the yarn and everything, because
Yeah, I don't carry yarn with me.
I don't bring it to a cabin.
To a vacation, yeah.
To a vacation. I mean,
but yeah,
I don't knit,
and those kinds of stories and that style is something that everybody went, ooh, yes, we want that. Mm-hmm. And if you don't play games, you don't really understand that. I don't feel that Reggie plays games. We know that Shuhei plays games, and Peter Moore of EA plays games. Yes. Cliff Bleszinski, obviously, but like there's a lot of developers that play crazy amounts of games, and they draw in inspiration from those, and then they come up with a new thing. Yeah. And that type of inspiration is unique, I feel, to this industry. And if you don't understand that, you're not going to be able to understand your demographic, and you're not going to be able to bring us the products, services, direction that we want.
It's a business, but it's a business that involves art.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that Hollywood's been going through for a while in regards to, oh, well, that was popular before, let's do it again. Yeah. Let's reboot all of this. Last year, 97 or 98% of movies that were released were either remakes, reboots, or adaptations of other work.
Yeah. It's
it was all safe bets. Mm-hmm. It's all safe. Hey, we know there are people who like this already. Let's make another one of these, or let's make a sequel to this, or let's so that's the business aspect of it going overboard. Yeah. And I don't want that to happen in gaming.
No. And so new ideas can be some of the most lucrative items that have actually come out.
And speaking of that, Splatoon. Mm-hmm. Splatoon, it was announced it sold 4 million copies on Wii U.
Yes.
So that is a third of
a literal third of owners.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's awesome.
It is. Considering Mario Kart sold, is it 8? It's a considerable amount, but obviously, to me, I'm sorry, if you have a Wii U, you have to have Mario Kart. There's certain games you have to, there's no reason not to have that at that point.
But yes, Splatoon is something that just kind of came out of nowhere, because it's a first-person shooter for kids by Nintendo with ink. Yeah. And it's just this really weird amalgamation of elements that somehow managed to work, because it's charming.
It really is. It's charming, and it's cute. Yeah. I mean, you're a squid kid, and that's awesome. So
and you don't even have to you can contribute on your team without ever taking a shot at an opposing player.
Yeah.
You can just run around with your little. I like the roller a lot.
Yes,
the roller's fun. And they also in the same. All of this is coming from the Nintendo financial report. They also said that sales of Wii U have hit 12 million. So they're continuing to sell, I guess, but
slowly, which is sad, because the Wii U is actually a really cool console. I really like the Wii U.
It is.
I think there's things they could have done better on it, and we'll see how the NX does in regards to that. Hoping it just completely knocks it out of the park. But we'll later on hopefully later around E3 we'll probably have a whole episode dedicated to it, I think.
Yes.
But speaking of first-person shooters and everything, so
there you go.
There's a new time-bending FPS as the highlight here says so Super Hot
Yeah.
is going to be released on PC, Xbox One coming out later. 2.5 years of development on this.
Yeah. This was one of the ones. I can't remember for sure if it was in the ID at Xbox release for the release show for Xbox One, or if it was the first E3 after that. But yeah, Super Hot is the one. If you remember one where time would kind of slow down and big red silhouettes of people. It's kind of the idea is you're going through and you have this thermal imaging and you're watching stuff in that way, and I don't know. Yeah. It looks weird.
Well,
and that is something that appeals to me. I like weird.
It's interesting, and also the time only moves in the game when you move.
Yeah.
So if you stop, time stops.
Ooh.
So you can stop and figure out what you want to do. Then go do that.
That's
stop,
cool.
Figure out what you want to do. It's essentially like VATS.
Yeah.
To me. I'm sure there's other bits of it as well. But that's what it reminded me of. It was VATS New Vegas or Fallout 3.
That does sound pretty cool, though.
Yeah. It's interesting ideas. Anytime there's interesting ideas, I'll take a look.
Yeah.
You know?
And we'll get to see that soon.
Yep. So, speaking of interesting ideas, apparently Street Fighter V story timeline is as complex as Star Wars, according to the producer.
Yeah, that's coming.
Yeah, those are some big shoes to fill.
Okay.
Have you seen Star Wars? Or?
The wording, though. He doesn't say it's as good as Star Wars.
No,
he says it's as complex.
Yeah.
And when you boil it down, the story of Star Wars, it's the hero's story.
Yeah. It's a hero's journey.
It's Odyssey and all like 50% of stories.
Yeah.
For the first 100 years or so.
Now
So
the question
I
is,
can understand that it can be as complex because fighting games stories have to be complex because how did everybody survive and continue into this one?
Yeah.
So we'll see, and it's apparently going to have an hour of cinematics,
which is great.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. I'm completely down with that. But it is interesting wording because when it says it's as complex as Star Wars, Metal Gear is more complex than Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
It's also more convoluted, but
yes.
But interesting wording. I'm really hopeful on this though because there's so many fighters and other games that just go, no one cares about the story because we can cut the story out, make something for less money, and make more money off of it. So this is proving it otherwise.
I also found out because of the same article, apparently Street Fighter V takes place. Okay, so it was Street Fighter happened first, then Street Fighter 2, then Street Fighter 4, and now 5, and then 3 is after that. Apparently that is the official canon storyline of Street Fighter.
Did anyone piece that together before this, though?
I don't know.
Are there?
I just like to beat up people with review.
Well, I'm just thinking, are there timeline theorists like there were for Zelda, or still are for Zelda?
What I want to know
Yeah.
is where does Street Fighter Cross Tekken come in?
Alternate universe, maybe?
I guess it has to be. Also, so I downloaded
maybe
that.
That's after.
I downloaded that to my Vita a little while ago and played through Mega Man's storyline, and where he's like this fat old guy in an awful costume, and oh my goodness, that story is awful, and I laughed my butt off. It was pretty cool. So if you give me something absolutely ludicrous like that, this is something that appeals to me. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, I was gonna say when you said Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which reminded me of that South Park episode. What is it? TWIOCH. TWIOCH Cross Craig, because that's the anime. You know what I'm talking about, right?
No,
I haven't seen it.
No.
So in fandom, not in anime, but in fandom, if you do specific characters, so if you do Sephiroth cross Cloud, means that two of them are in a relationship, and the top is Sephiroth.
Okay.
So Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
So it's shipping.
To me, means that you're shipping the two of them, and Street Fighter is
that is a massive orgy.
It is,
and not one I'd care to watch.
I don't want to see that. not even out of curiosity.
But going back to the article, more complex than Star Wars. I think that'll just be interesting.
Speaking of Star Wars, though.
Yes.
And who didn't see this coming? The Force Awakens is getting a Lego treatment. Lego will do anything.
Yeah,
Lego,
but they have the Disney Infinity, as well as the Lego Dimensions. They have Star Wars characters in there. So there's already 2 Lego games out.
Are there Star Wars Lego?
I don't know.
I didn't think they had the legal aspect of that. Lego Star Wars, even though Lego is a huge thing for that, Disney did not allow Lego Dimensions to have Star Wars figures in it.
Okay. Well, maybe this is why.
And the reason is because they had Disney Infinity. So they're saying, here's Disney Infinity. I don't want you to buy those products. You're buying these physical products.
Okay.
But Lego already has contracts to make these things. Not Lego Dimensions, though.
Right. The interesting thing about this to me is that the Lego games are made by WB. I thought that EA had the exclusive contract to make all of the Star Wars games.
I don't know.
Okay, so I will continue. I have looked into it a little bit. Mm-hmm. Apparently, nobody else is asking the same question
because grandfathering involved.
I couldn't find it, but
maybe grandfathering involved because they did the Star Wars Lego games prior to all of that.
It's possible, but the thing is that was something that was contracted out like within a couple of months of when they bought LucasArts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm thinking it's something that's kind of grandfathered in, and they've continued to allow them to do it. That's just my opinion on it. But The Force Awakens is getting a Lego treatment. Is
and the trailer is hilarious.
The trailer is great, and there's also been some mashups where they've shown the trailer and then the actual trailer, the Lego trailer and the real trailer side by side because they're hilarious.
Yes.
Timing's perfect on this. Legos. How do I say this in a family-friendly way? Lego will do anything, and Lego works for pretty much everything.
So what you're saying is that Lego is willing to be a woman of the night.
Yes. In regards to video games.
Pretty much any property.
Just think about it. But at the same time, she's good at every single thing that she does.
Yeah.
So she deserves all that payment. Yeah.
All right,
but it's true.
It is.
Okay. The worst Lego video game that I ever played was Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, and it was still fun.
Yeah,
it was still fun. It wasn't a bad game. It wasn't as good as the Lego Star Wars. It wasn't as good as Lego Avengers. There are so many others. Lego Indiana Jones was even that was pretty fun. I mean, they are so fun. And
it's simple and it's something because like literally right now my girls are still playing Lego Marvel Superheroes because they love that game. They can run around and you can have a thing that they can play and enjoy, and they're almost halfway through Lego DC Batman 3, and I can go back. Yeah. And I'm doing like the free play stuff for superheroes, getting trophies and stuff because I want Deadpool.
Yeah.
I want and he's the last thing that you can get. You have to earn everything else before you can have Deadpool. But he's making fun of me while I try, so that's important.
Yeah.
And then the last piece on the Lego Force Awakens is that they have already announced that there's going to be a season pass and a deluxe edition.
I don't need any of that for a Lego game.
Well, the other
what's going to come with the deluxe edition? I mean,
well, the other thing is that it's a season pass.
Yeah.
Okay, you gave us. So brief history of Lego Star Wars games.
Yeah.
They did a classic trilogy.
Yes.
Then they did a prequel.
Correct.
And then they had the complete saga.
Yes. Which was a repackaging of one of the first.
Right, and so both of the other two complete games, individual games, took a trilogy and put them into a game.
Yes.
This is all based on a single movie.
Yep.
And then you're going to try to sell me a season pass?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's crap.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate that.
There's got to be something behind it. There's got to be something else.
Yeah, money.
Other than that.
See, I love it when I get a punchline and then get to punctuate it with the sip.
I hope that there's something else. I'm not going to buy the DLC. I'll look and see what the deluxe edition actually is. I
like building Legos.
Yeah, me too.
If you, I'll tell you what. If you have a deluxe edition of this game that includes like a big set,
oh yeah, I'll buy it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah. If I could get
like a lot though.
Yeah,
$200.
So much, so much. But yeah, it was really fun, and go check out the trailer. That was a lot of fun.
Speaking of that, have you seen the Lego set that I can't remember I'll post pictures of it as we're talking about this. There's a Lego Builders Club that created a realistic Millennium Falcon that's all to scale for the figures, because the because the Lego one that you get is scaled down. So this one it's 10,000 pieces. And it is 50% bigger than the largest one that Lego's ever done.
Yeah.
But it's essentially I haven't seen it with the top with the top on, because you have like the top off, so you have pieces you can look and see the living area. Here's the corridor piece. Here's the cockpit. Here's these engine parts. Here's where the proton torpedoes will come out. So the entire thing,
that is awesome.
Accurate to scale. It's fantastic, and I want one.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I did go to somebody's house a couple weeks ago, and they had the helicarrier.
Yeah.
They had the Star Destroyer is like seriously this long.
And I've wanted one.
And I've never.
Is it the regular Star Destroyer, or is it Darth Vader's? Executor. Is it Executor or Executor?
Executor.
I don't know.
It's Executor, because Lost Stars, which I did finish this week, includes a part where they're talking about the Executor, and that's how it's pronounced.
It's how it's pronounced in there, so I guess it's the Executor.
It's canon.
Okay, it's canon now.
But yeah, I went over to his house.
Was it the regular Star Destroyer there? Or was
it was the regular Star Destroyer.
Which are like $1,000 on eBay now, because they've discontinued them.
Yes. But my favorite thing about this is he had all that stuff, and then he had this little it was like the Avengers logo and the characters, and he had swapped out Thor for a female and given her Mjolnir.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this dude is cool.
That's cool. I don't know who he is, but he's cool already.
Yeah. I really appreciated that.
Speaking of cool, as if this game could not get any better, Final Fantasy 15 released the stealth and combat system, or combat gameplay.
It was about 4 minutes worth of actual gameplay, and I also highly recommend IGN's Marty Sleva did a rewind theater on it, and he goes through individual elements and points out different things. Okay, I've been a Final Fantasy fan for a long time. This is a very different Final Fantasy than the ones that I love the most. Yeah. 10 I beat, but I feel like that's where it really started to go off the rails. 12 I got about halfway through, and then 13 I didn't play.
Yeah.
And
I did.
but the way that they've done this really feels like they've brought the classic lore of Final Fantasy and put it into an entirely new type of gameplay that I can actually be on board for. It looks like a mix of, like, there's some Metal Gear Solid in there, and there's the blinking of Dishonored and the warping, and you still have the classic elements where, oil plus fire equals, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it has Magitech armor, which hasn't been in the series from 6. And I'm going to call Marty out on that, because he said, this is Magitech armor, which has been in the Final Fantasy series for 20 years. No, it was in one game.
Yes.
It was not in any others.
Yeah.
That you can't say that's been in the series since whatever.
That's like saying Materia has been in the series for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's been in the series in one game.
Or like saying that the Kariba boot has been in Mario games for the past 30. No. It was in Mario 3 and an occasion.
Yeah.
Anyway, so sorry about that rant.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, this looks awesome, and I've been watching this for a long time. This was the trailer that got me fully on board with it, because this looks so fun.
I've been watching and waiting for this game since it was 13 verses. There's
a lot of 13 verses in this trailer.
Yes.
That I hadn't really seen before.
And I am ecstatic that I feel like I'm getting a different game, but I really feel like I'm getting a better game than I would have gotten then. I've been essentially evangelizing this game since the trailer.
Yeah, and telling us that it was in fact coming.
And it
even
was.
when a lot of us didn't buy that.
I was the weirdo with the sign out on the corner saying Final Fantasy is coming.
It's coming, and I want to play it.
It is. I was the George R. R. Martin. Oh, it's coming. It's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Salt in my wounds. Thanks.
And it is, but it's true. And it's going to be great. And I can't wait. Speaking of things that I can't wait for.
Well, before we go to that, they also announced because this trailer gameplay thing was part of a bigger. Continued to say, hey, be excited about it. Please be excited, because that was Square. Please be excited. They have also announced another demo, and that they will announce the release date. They will tell us when the release date is coming out on March 30th, which is when I think they will release the second demo that they've said is coming here, and I think we'll be able to buy that. Which I want. If they had Disgaea,
access to the demos.
If they had Disgaea as a solo $15-$20 thing, I would have bought it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to buy a game remake money grab for that.
Yeah.
I know several people that did that and then just returned the game.
Yep.
Because that was the only reason they bought it, and it's dirty marketing. I don't care for it. I don't appreciate it. Just let us buy the demo. Let us give you money for a thing that you have made.
I don't even think you should buy it. I think it should be a downloadable demo, like it used to be back in the day.
Yes. Don't take my money and give me a thing.
Give me a thing. You give me a demo. You're giving me something that is a preview that is supposed to get me excited to buy your stuff. You give that out for free. That's your free samples at Sam's Club right there. Okay? I don't know. Do I want these sausages? Wow, they're really good. I just sampled them. Now I will buy them. That's how you get people to buy things.
Take that quote out of context, please.
So, another thing, like I said, I'm excited about, and it seems like the internet is completely split on, from what I've seen, is that Hearthstone is going to be introduction of standard and wild formats. Now, if you've played Magic the Gathering, this is essentially your standard and legacy formats, and modern as well. You have the recent sets are considered standard, and wild is pretty much everything else. Is what I've been reading.
Okay.
So, in Magic the Gathering, the way this is done is you print all these cards, and you say, okay, well, how do you keep this format interesting and balanced?
Yeah, balance is
It's really hard. So right now there have been 3 sets that have been out in Hearthstone. So the regular set, the Goblins, and then the last one, I can't remember what the heck it's called. I play the game and I don't remember what it's called. So essentially what they're going to do is they're going to create... I haven't seen exactly when this is going to happen, but they're going to create a different format. So basically they can control what is in the standard and what is in wild. And it's basically so that way the meta is not too just completely random. Right now you have 3 sets of cards, and they can already do this with a little bit of balancing. They've done this where a certain card, they're like, oh, that is overpowered. We're going to change that to say spell power +2 instead of +4 or whatever. You can do that digitally. You can't do it in physical cards. But when you have certain archetypes that completely just run amok, you have to have ways to rotate it out. And I love this. I think that they realized well before, they just didn't want to say it. They realized before, they're like, okay, we have 3 sets out. We're going to come out with a 4th set, and we're going to have so many cards. There's going to be too many possibilities. No one can. Someone is going to find a niche that no one can attack properly unless you create a deck that's specifically against that niche. You don't want that.
Yeah.
It's poison in Magic the Gathering, and I hate it. So I'm really glad this is being done. It'll make it more healthy. In the long run, it's great for the game.
Well, it also allows them to evolve the game without worrying about previous elements now being because when you bring a new element into a fighting game or into a card game or whatever, then you can make something that was previously just a standard feature, you can make it overpowered because of the way that new rules work and stuff. Yeah. And so this allows them to evolve the game without having to balance as much. Yeah. And it makes it feasible.
Mm-hmm. And you can still play Wild if you have a specific deck that you really like or whatever, which I'm hoping. Right now, Hearthstone, you get 9 slots for your deck. You have 9 different classes.
Okay.
So basically, you have one deck. You can do one deck for each class. What I'm hoping is that they'll have a separate section for Standard and Wild, because that way you don't have 9 slots and have to go, okay, should I have 3 or 4 of these be Wild and the rest be Standard? I want a separate section where I go, I'm playing Standard, here's my Standard decks. Playing Wild, here's my Wild decks. And then when you create a deck, it'll immediately just say one or the other and then create. I'm sure they're going to do that because it seems pretty straightforward to me, but we'll see what happens. This is a great thing for the game, and in the long run, it's going to be very healthy and help its longevity. So, very happy about that. And if you're not, tell me, and I'll argue with you.
All right.
So, something I didn't see coming though, because I did see the other one coming. I did not see this coming.
Yes.
Far Cry Primal on Xbox One. If you pre-order it, it comes with a free with what is
Valiant
it?
Hearts.
The Valiant Hearts game.
Yeah.
I don't.
The World War I and the Stone Age game.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
This is about. It was right afterwards, right? The Stone Age was right after World War One.
Something like that.
It's right after Colonel
there were a lot of stones in.
Yeah, it's right after Colonel Sanders bombed Pearl Harbor because they were taking his spices, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all know.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I suspect that this is something that Xbox is going to try to do, because they feel that the Far Cry 4, Far Cry 3 generated a lot of positive buzz. People were really excited about that until they found out that Fallout was what I meant.
Yeah.
People were really excited about that, except that Fallout didn't come out. It wasn't available right then.
Yeah.
You had to wait for almost until Fallout 4 came out, and then why do I want to play that? I want to play the new one. And yeah, so it's a strange thing, but if you pre-order Primal, and then you will get Valiant Hearts, which I do recommend.
Mm-hmm.
There are not enough like World War I games.
Yeah.
It's an UbiArt game. I like most of those because they're able to make a really emotional, poignant story that's available for relatively cheap. Sure. So if you haven't played that, go pick it up. It's a really good look into how individual soldiers are treated and how all that comes about.
Yeah. It's a really weird tie-in, and some people were saying, "Oh, why didn't you give Fallout 4?" Fallout 4 is too. Far Cry 4.
Far Cry, yeah.
I wouldn't put Far Cry 4 into package that up as like, hey, you get a free. It's too recent.
Yeah.
Far Cry 3 though, hey, you buy Primal and get Far Cry 3. That'd be totally worth it.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really smart thing. I would in fact. From a business standpoint, I would imagine that would sell a lot of copies. A lot of people who are saying, kind of on the fence about it, wait, I can buy that and get a digital copy of it. Yeah, I'll do that. Someone who hasn't played the game, or maybe they rented it and they want it in their library, I think it'd really help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
we'll see what happens with that, but that's information that you needed.
Yeah. So, also information that people need. Apparently, there's rampant cheating in the Division on PC.
Yeah, they keep the file that actually contains like stats on your character
is kept on your PC.
Is kept on your PC, and you can manually go in there and boost your stats up to the nines. And I don't know how anybody thought that wasn't going to be a problem.
Didn't we solve this back in the Diablo days? I mean,
yeah, it's a very bizarre oversight on their part. But they have said that this is going to be addressed in the next beta.
I was going to say this
obviously in the game.
Oh, obviously. I mean, back when I played Diablo, and there was a hack. It was the Boba Fett hack. Shout out to that hacker back in the day. In the 90s. It was like a little EXE program that you ran, and you selected what your stats you wanted to have, and then
items. You could bring in an entire set of items because they were so hard to find.
You could make up your own items.
Yeah,
you could make your own items. That was a little further down there, but I mean, I thought that that was pretty well ruled out in the early 2000s of saying. That's a really dumb idea to give the players.
If you're going to play online, this is what you have.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
no, I miss me Diablo. Warcraft.
Diablo was so fun.
Warcraft. I miss Warcraft.
Yeah.
But so that's going to be addressed. This is a beta. To me,
yeah, if this had been in the live launch, that would have been, oof.
That would have been horrible. But this is a beta. It's not as bad as it could have been. Betas are made to be to run up kinks. It's more surprising to me that they had designed it that way.
That anyone at any point thought, hey, I know what I'll do.
Hey, let's save this little tiny bit of server space.
12 kilobytes per player.
That's exactly right. If you don't know how little those stats are,
it's basic text.
Yeah. Well, World of Warcraft is a great example of this. World of Warcraft has every single person who's ever played, who ever had an account. I haven't played World of Warcraft in a couple of years. Mm-hmm. I mentioned it before because I miss it, and I may jump back in for funsies. I don't know, because I liked it. Whitney and I played it, but you can jump back in there and all your stuff's still there. How do they do it? Because it's just such a little amount of text that just says, this is how much gold they have. This is how much. These are the items that they have, and the item, all it is like, okay,
it's an ID code,
inventory ID code, and here's your list of ID codes. So you have such a little amount of actual data. It doesn't matter. It doesn't save you space. Your assets are already there, and they're not friggin' gig Arkham skins. That was ridiculous. None of it's that big, so it's bloatware. It's ridiculous. Anyways, so that was really a dumb idea. There was no reason for it. So I don't know if there's a reason for this though. I know a lot of people are.
I'm coming around on it.
I've not been sold on it yet. So Nintendo's launching the Miitomo app.
The little Me chat thing. It's another social network, but you get to have your me. So my little bug guy can be your friend on this network.
Nintendo's been so interesting when it comes to multiplayer and how they let people communicate. In how Nintendo wants to police it as much as possible to say, we want it to be family friendly, so you can't have actual words and such. So it's almost like they're trying to step their toes into that, but not do it full on. I'm not sold on it because I don't see how it fits into my world yet, I guess.
Well, the thing is that so the actual announcement here is that Miitomo is coming in March.
Yep.
It's going to launch stateside at the same time, which was something we didn't know up until now. But they've also kind of gone into a little bit more detail on how it's going to work with My Nintendo account and stuff like that. And those are things that we're happy about.
Yeah.
So if you can tie that in and you can post screenshots from your games to social media, that will be a significant step as far as they're concerned.
It will be.
And
the question is it's the same thing with Facebook versus MySpace or anything else. Whatever people are on, that's the reason I brought that up for a reason. If Nintendo said, "Hey, we have this new social network," which is what they're doing, and you could post to people who are also on that social network.
Yeah.
Now, if they link it, if they let you then share whatever you post there, the way that we have integration between Twitter, Facebook, and anything else, Instagram, and all the things that the kids do these days. Now, if you have a way to do that within your social network, cool, because then you can say, I have this environment, this ecosystem, and I can set my post to copy over whatever I post in here. It'll also post to Facebook.
Yeah,
that's a cool integration. I'm okay with that.
The other thing is that this can be a thing where you're only talking to other gamers.
Yeah,
because I was very nearly done with Facebook before the United Gaming Front group started. And UGF is where I go and I talk about all my video game stuff so that I don't have to bug all the people that I know that don't care about that. And that is the biggest thing that offers to me. So if I have this network that is my Nintendo people's, that is something that this network offers and allows me to find other people to play Nintendo games with. And if they're moving in the direction that it looks like they're going, where we will actually be able to to build relationships, because like there are people that I play with on PSN in particular that I would not have met any other way.
Yeah.
So if there's a way to find other people to play Nintendo with,
it can be cool. Yeah.
That could be cool.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is going to be application. How does this actually show up?
Exactly.
And there is potential there, but we don't know yet if it's going to come out.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up as well. If you're managing multiple social medias, networks, so if you're going through Facebook,
which I am now.
So if you have Facebook and a Twitter and Instagram, if you have all these different.
Speaking of that, TWIOCH now has Tumblr. So if you're on Tumblr, you can follow us at TWIOCH. I'm still figuring out how that social media thing works, but yeah. So we have that.
Fantastic.
Did you know that?
I did not.
Okay.
I know that now. Is that it's like a D&D thing, right? Where you tumble dice, or?
I'm managing the account. Don't worry about it.
If you see D&D references, it's gonna be this guy. No, I actually don't. I know what Tumblr is. I don't see the. It's just the difference, the variation between one ecosystem versus another.
It is a very unique and confusing system.
Yeah,
but I kind of like it.
So what I was getting at was, if you have all these different social media networks that you are managing, integrating those the right way is important, because the majority of people are going to say, okay, this is my thing, I'm going to do Twitter, or this is my thing, I'm going to do Facebook. They may integrate.
Do they?
Most people do.
Huh.
Yeah. What they'll do.
Tell us in the comments how many social networks you are actively involved with.
Actively involved in, as in you grab your phone, bring up the application separately from the others.
5.
I guarantee you're in the very for our age group, you're in a very low percentage. For the teenagers, you're probably right around there.
Yay, I'm a teenager.
He's a teenager. He's a man boy, man child. So
yeah, if you didn't already know that.
Yeah, I am too. But and to me, when I was joking about not knowing Tumblr, the only reason is because I like having everything streamlined. So if I have, I want all my posts we do with Twitter. Mm-hmm. So Twitter, when you tweet, it also posts on Facebook.
Yeah.
So that integration allows you to say, okay, when I do post it here, it copies over here, so I can look at this one for the most part, or this one for the most part, for different things you want to grab.
Yeah,
right?
and different. There's going to be different discussions, because
definitely.
Twitter has the 140 character limit makes discussions much more succinct, to the point. This is how we're going to talk about this. Whereas Facebook, you post a thing and then you get like a 2-page comment that you're not even going to read.
Which, it's the it's like Reddit subthreads and everything. I mean, there's Reddit as well. So it's another one that another one that I'm on more than I'm on Twitter is Imgur. And I love Imgur because it's this really quick, mindless grab of funny dog pictures, or I go into the newest user submitted stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's the fresh stuff. It's not the things people voted on, because then I feel like not only am I helping people who may have not be seen otherwise, but you get some really honest things in there, some really great stories in there that might not hit the front page because it's not some either a sob story or an adorable dog that can't get out of a situation, which are great. They're great, as much as sob stories can be great. I like the newer, interesting stuff, and so Imgur's really cool too. But you have all these ecosystems, and I don't know how that's going to fit into my life. If it is something that is easily accessible through the NX, that could be interesting. If you have it, if you have a way to get push notifications over to Facebook or something like that, would be really cool. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens. Another thing that I completely came out of nowhere for me, though, change the subject after our rants. Dust 415 is going to be 514. If you didn't know him, got problems. Dust 514 is going to be shut down. I didn't know this thing was still going on.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I mean, I knew Eve was a thing still.
Yeah, Eve on... That's a country.
It is.
Eve Online is a fascinating thing for me that I love to go and look at, because some of the stuff that comes in there is just incredible, because they've managed to create an entire ecosystem and all this stuff. So they're going to shut down the PS3 shooter that kind of tied in with it in May. They've also said that they're not sure what's going to happen next, but they are going to do something else, taking all of the things that they learned from Dust 514 and seeing what they can do with that. So I think this is going to be... yeah, I'm not going to put this as a prediction, but I think that they're going to do a PC shooter that does that, because the PS3, it had another year or two after this came out, but the PlayStation is not really the place for the hardcore shooters as much as they're trying to do with Call of Duty, and I'm sure that's doing well for them, but this particular group of people is not really the ones that are going to fall headlong into that. And chatting is really hard. Yeah. So yeah.
I think that it's going to be definitely PC. They're going to keep it on PC because Eve has thrived so well on that. As much as I'd like to see that come to PS4, if it does, it's going to be Eve 2, though. There's my prediction. If they do it, it's going to be a sequel. It's not going to be the actual. It's going to be not. If it is Eve, it's going to be horrible. What I would like to see out of this is either what they do is Eve 2 for PC, which integrates everything they do with Eve, with being able to take your smaller starships, obviously, because the larger ones wouldn't work this way. Taking your smaller starship and going right onto a planet, having not only combat but also a MMO style cities kind of thing that would be phenomenal. I would buy it. And I would just do that for the rest of my life. It's essentially at that point saying it's this open galaxy Star Wars where you have all these capital ships and smaller ships. You as a player character can get into the smaller ship, go down to the planet, do some trading there, get on someone else's ship and actually talk to them and figure out some trade agreements. It'd be so cool.
That is an incredibly ambitious project that I would find fascinating.
That's pretty much what they're trying to do with the what's the game? Is it Planet Side? What's the
No Man's Sky?
No Man's Sky.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what No Man's Sky is, except with an economy.
And the economy. The economy is the thing that, honestly, economies are incredibly problematic. And as far as actual, truly functioning economies, EVE Online is of the games that have been made, EVE Online is the only one that has actually been able to make it work.
Exactly. They have that down.
Yes,
you have
and
that.
you can be an EVE Online person as your profession.
Yeah, they have that
so
down.
Cool.
They've learned stuff about shooters. Integrate the two together. The way Star Wars Galaxies had an expansion, because Star Wars Galaxies was really cool, and Star Wars Galaxies had an expansion that gave you StarCraft. They gave you ships. You have your own ship. You could buy ships. You could build ships. It was basically kind of like what Eve is doing. So essentially, take that and then reverse it. That's what you do. Because that would be insane, and the amount of money they would make out of that would be incredible. Essentially, if they do it the right way, they could beat it. They could beat Star Wars to the open world game that Star Wars, Lucas Entertainment, LucasArts, has been hinting about that they've been doing an open world Star Wars game. If they did this with Eve and beat Star Wars to the punch,
could be.
I mean, I can build capital ships, and I can be a part of like an alliance, and it'd be so cool.
That's what he wants.
That'd be so cool. They could do it. It'd be a really cool integration. What I would want to see it integrated as either an expansion or what I just said. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Speaking of things we want, Rocket League has new maps and modes.
Yeah.
And like this is so exciting because Rocket League is really fun as is. It's basically indoor soccer, and it's just a very simple geometric shape. But they're working on all these really weird maps. Like there's a donut one, and there's ones with like layers and multiple goals, and it's gonna be so fun.
Yes.
The really interesting thing about this, the really cool thing about this to me is that these are actually user generated,
yes.
and then we're going to get to vote, and they're going to go up, and kind of like what happened last week with Halo, is they're saying, okay, everybody make your things, bring them to us, then we'll push it back out to the community. We'll figure out which ones work, which ones don't, why they work, why they don't.
As long as I get to play them beforehand.
Yeah.
Because if you don't let me play beforehand, I could go, oh, that sounds really cool, and then when you actually jump in, and you're like,
and that's the thing is those are going to be entirely separate playlists.
Yes.
So there's going to be kind of like a beta type area,
kind of thing,
and then they're going to figure out. And some of them they have said are never going to go completely into the regular rotation,
which is good because some of them just might be completely bonkers.
Yeah, and
which are cool, but I don't. If you're playing in a leaderboard, you don't want that type of randomness. You don't want that. Yeah. Again, back to Magic the Gathering, it's like playing EDH or Commander, as it's called.
Yeah,
amazing format. Random stuff happens, and you don't want that if you're going for a specific score. So, in regards to ranked play, I completely understand it.
Yeah, and. There will also be people who find one particular map that they're just really good at for some reason because it fits in their brain a particular way. Yeah. Somebody is going to be a donut specialist, and just every time they come in, they just kill because they've figured out the exact angles to. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. An update also on a story from last week. The whole Vita network update thing. Sony has said that they've figured out the store issues and they've managed to fix those.
Yeah.
I did go ahead and pull up the update, throw it in. I've not had any problems accessing the store, but I have noticed that my battery life is noticeably down. Because usually one of the things I love about Vita is you can just be sitting there playing, something comes up, you tap the screen off, go off and do whatever, come back a day later, and it's still fine.
I've come back like a week and a half later.
Yeah.
I know you play yours more often than I do, so I will have not played my Vita for like a week and a half or 2 weeks, and I'll go, oh yeah, I want to play that. Pick it up. And I've got, 3/4 of a battery or something. Like
It's really, really fascinating.
The 3DS is really good at this as well,
but not if you just turn the screen off.
Correct.
And that was the
3DS, you have to say, all right, you're going into sleep mode now.
Right.
Are you sure? Yes, I am sure. Okay. Then you close it. And you got to do those things in the right order.
Right. But so now I'm losing about 20% over a 10-hour break, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I hope that they'll be fixing that as well. But this is a thing. They have at least noticed it, and so basically those two things came at the same time with the same patch, 3.57. So hopefully we'll see an improvement on that in the short term.
Yeah, speaking of same time, you mentioned earlier in the podcast, but I'll also YouTube video, whatever you want to call this. Earlier on, we mentioned Doom, because Doom is coming out in May, and I wanted to note on that it is actually coming out simultaneously to PC and PS4 and Xbox One.
May 13th.
May 13th. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to put this on here right now, Conan O'Brien did a video of him playing it.
Yes, with a bunch of the Super Bowl players.
Yes.
And yeah, I've watched that yet, but I've checked it off to watch later.
Put up a little thing on that. If you guys haven't seen Conan O'Brien, first of all, awesome. I don't know if I like him or Colbert better. I mean, they're so good. They're different, but
they're different. They discuss different things.
Yes,
he's more on the pop culture side, and Colbert is a lot more into the.
He's been doing a lot of the politics and news and hardcore stuff, but Conan O'Brien is hilarious, and Conan O'Brien they're both intelligent, very intelligent people.
Yes, and tall. Really tall.
I wonder if there's a correlation. No, there's not.
I'm tall. I'm hilarious. Yeah,
I'm short. I'm not, but I'm intelligent.
You can be hilarious in the right settings.
I guess so. But I'd say
like the towel
Colbert is yes. But Colbert, I would say, is more intelligent, and I don't know if he's more intelligent or if he he solidifies that. Conan likes to poke fun at him being goofy, and that's his thing.
That's a piece of his the character that he presents.
Yeah, which, so if you haven't seen, if anyone who's watching this or listening to this right now, if you haven't seen it already, Conan O'Brien's Clueless Gamer series is awesome. So just
it's so fun.
Yeah, so like his YouTube page just for that. Subscribe to it so that way you can get those. Those are great because one of his staff, I don't know if he's one of the writers, one of the guys who was on the staff, originally started just saying, hey, it'd be fun if you played these games, and now he also does live streams as well. Not Conan, but
Conan also showed up at E3 last year, and just wandered around the floor being like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah,
I can see over all of you people because I'm 8 feet tall.
He is. One of the funniest things to me, seeing how tall he was when Slipknot played on his show back in the day, and seeing him next to the other guys, because he's tall and he's like this much shorter than like their guitarists, because he's a giant as well.
My favorite is there's a gif of him wearing skinny jeans, and he takes these big, long, like exaggerated steps, and just watching him walk back and forth in the gif is hilarious.
That's awesome.
Anyway, things that are not hilarious is Batman Arkham Knight is canceled for Mac and Linux. There's a lesser gaming community there, but it is there. It exists. There, and I would think that it would be simpler to make a game for Mac, because like a lot of the problems that they had in Arkham Knight's release was figuring out different video cards and stuff like that. With Mac, you have maybe a quarter of the hardware configurations, so I don't entirely understand. I don't entirely understand why it is that is such an issue for them.
It's the OS. It's the OS architecture.
But WB has been absolutely dropping the ball on just all of their PC players, and it's not pretty.
I feel like I shouldn't just not support them in anything that they do until they show me that.
I can't do that. I have to do it on an individual studio level.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff that they just published, like Shadow of Mordor 2, please bring me that. I will buy that immediately. I will buy the DLC for that immediately, because Shadow of Mordor was awesome. That was Monolith. That wasn't a WB proper game.
Yeah.
And that game was astounding.
Yeah.
And I can't... Are we due for that? We're getting close, right? Because that was...
What, for the sequel to it?
Yeah, because Shadow of Mordor was also really fun because it took place in a licensed universe, but it was a different angle, which, going back to Lost Stars, which, again, recommended, the characters in that knew about Han and Leia and stuff, and they were mostly like, yeah, that guy's... I don't know why people like Luke so much. I mean, he's okay, but like...
Thank you.
Well, yeah, we know him better, and we still think the same thing. But yeah, like there was a character that had like a super crush on Senator Organa, and that was awesome. And they talked about, I don't think Han's even mentioned in that. Because they didn't really know these characters.
Yeah.
And it was just like, well, I guess they're just promoting everybody to General now. I didn't even know you were a fighter. and so yeah, so like they have a lot of the main bullet points, because like, let's be honest, at the first Battle of Yavin, that was an assault on the main rebel base.
Yes.
And when you get to the second Death Star, spoilers for Star Wars.
Yeah.
When you get to the second Death Star at the end of Return of the Jedi, the Empire had the majority of their fleet there. They weren't used until the second half of the battle, but the rebels threw everything they had at that battle. So it makes sense that anybody who's in the Rebel Alliance is going to be there.
Yeah, anybody.
Yeah. And I really like that, but they didn't necessarily have them there for all the big points. And so it was a really, really good story.
Yeah. Speaking of really good stories, H1N1 is getting split into two games.
H1Z1.
H1Z1. I don't know. H1N1 is an actual bird flu. H1Z1 is the zombie version.
If you play Plague Inc. on your mobile, that's one of the viruses you can send out and kill the entire population of Earth.
It's fantastic. So H1Z1 is getting split into two games. So this is a zombie game, a open world. If you've played, it's similar to DayZ in many ways. In the Steam, it's on Steam and everything. It's going to be split into 2 games. Basically, you're going to get the H1Z1 version that we have right now, which is all about surviving and building and being able to just survive. Yeah. And you're also going to have a large-scale multiplayer version, which is H1Z1 King of the Hill, which is cool. I'm glad they're giving them that aspect of it. Here's a great example of multiplayer just taking the assets out of a solo game.
Yeah. Give me that.
So that's what I mean, but they're going to price them the same.
Yep.
Because they can get the same money off of something that took them hardly any time or money to do. So this.
Yeah, but it's also being ported to consoles for the first time. And I suspect, because I mean they've said that they're splitting it into 2 different games. We still don't know like who's going to be getting the game. If you already own one, do you get the other one? How's that going to work? We don't know anything about the financials, so stop judging them.
I'm judging them because because King of the Hill is all I'm getting for PS4 and Xbox One.
They haven't announced price yet, and that's what you're upset about.
No. I'm upset because the survival part is still in limbo.
Okay,
survival part is what I
and
want.
that's the part that you want.
I want and survival has multiplayer as well. Survival is all about I'm here in this, this zombie apocalypse is happening. How do I survive? How do I survive zombies? How do I survive other people that might loot me? And what do you do? How do you fortify everything? That's what I want. And it's what everybody's been trying to do for a long time to find a great open world zombie game to be able to do this. Do not say anything about the Xbox Dead Island or any of that kind of stuff. It's not open world at all.
State of Decay is though.
State of Decay is pretty open world. Yeah. So people have been trying to be the best version of this, and it's hard to come out on top when there's so much of this. There's even articles on there saying, well, which one should I get? Should I get DayZ or H1Z1 or should I get this other one? And it's Rust used to have zombies in it as well. Now it doesn't. So they're the big boy Minecraft. If you guys haven't seen Rust, it's basically Rust is Minecraft but with more realistic graphics. Yeah. So. Which is pretty cool. So I'm irritated. I mean, I'm glad they're splitting this into 2 games because that way people can get the King of the Hill, different maps and stuff like that, and huge multiplayer shooter stuff. And then you have the survival one. But everything that I've seen here says that the King of the Hill version is coming out sometime in the summer or so. And the survival version is just going to remain as an early access Steam thing. And early access in Steam is basically their betas, which it can just stay in beta for
indefinitely.
Yeah, so that's what I'm irritated about. And what I would like is for them to focus on the survival portion.
Yeah,
give me the multiplayer maps as an extra, like it should be. You're going to get the money out of the survival version of it. You're going to get more playability out of the survival version of it.
Okay,
for most people. That's my opinion.
I've been trying to do kind of the weird, at least one really weird story of the week at the end. Like last week we had the Donald Rumsfeld thing. This week we have Red Dead Redemption was available for about 12 hours as a backwards compatible title on Xbox One. There's a link down in the video description of how it was available. You had to everybody had to piggyback off of one user that somehow got access to it, and it was a very, very, very strange thing that happened. Mm-hmm. But there's also a bunch of other titles, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, which I didn't even know. Yeah, so there are more backwards compatible games coming, but it seems like maybe the ones that were finished but had not yet been released.
Yeah. They're staging them for release. I
think.
Right.
Which is interesting considering that they had said, last week, 2 weeks ago, that when the games are ready, we're just going to push them out. Clearly that's not what they're doing.
Clearly that's why.
But yeah, so for about 12 hours, people could tag onto somebody that had the game, go from there, link directly to the store, and grab it and put it in their library. It was weird, but it was a thing that happened. But it did show us a better look at the future backwards compatible list, because on this last one I didn't really see anything there that was interesting. Red Dead Redemption is has been and will remain at the top of the most requested list for backwards compatibility.
It's the third of the list, I think, from what I saw on there. If I'm not mistaken, I'm doing this off memory. It's Skyrim and then Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So what was it?
So I have the top 5 list of games that people have requested. Please bring us this one.
Because this is what Xbox is supposed to be going off of.
Yeah. So we have Black Ops 2, Skyrim, Red Dead Redemption, Modern Warfare 2, and Black Ops. The interesting thing on that to me...
I didn't know about the other two.
Yeah, but what if they release like a campaign cluster?
Oh, just Black Ops.
No.
1 and 2. No, just say we're here. It's Black Ops, and it's 1 and 2.
Yeah, but like
if
they just gave us the campaigns
of all of those,
I would buy the heck out of that.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah,
please give us that, and I will buy it.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's ever going to happen because they think that the campaign people.
I still wish they would give me a. I would be able to do that for the new ones when they come out.
Yeah.
Say,
just buy the campaign.
Yeah, I'll just buy the campaign.
Yes. Because you don't get my money right now because I don't want to pay $60
for 6 hours.
6-8 hour. Well, it takes me a lot longer because I'm not good at shooters. So 8 minimum.
And the last one that I played through the entire Modern Warfare 2, I beat in 6 hours.
Jeez.
So yeah, so it's not worth it. Speaking of the whole first-person shooters with the multiplayer and all of that, Titanfall 2 has been announced. We talked about that before.
And it's they've said that it's going to come out before March of next year, and so we have a little bit of an update on that. Stern, one of the head developers, said one of the shortcomings of the first game was we just did not have the mechanism to tell everyone, here's who you are, here's where you are, here's everyone around you. We knew all the answers, we just could not deliver it, end quote. And so they didn't really understand how to take the assets that they'd made for their multiplayer game and figure out how to tell a story within that framework.
Yeah.
But now they've apparently figured that out. And so it will have a single player campaign, and that makes me happy because this was just one of those that I dismissed because I want a story. Yeah, and
I bought it on sale for $10, and I didn't get that much play. I didn't get enough play out of it for it to be warranted at $10.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that it has a campaign, but it kind of worries me that they're saying, "Oh, we didn't know how to tile this in until now." It could be good, or it could be this really hodgepodge of contrived ideas of how to make this world make sense.
I don't think based on the quote that we have here, I feel like that what he's saying is we created this game with multiplayer in mind, but we didn't really know how to make these characters.
Yeah.
Because when your only interaction with people is shooting at them and telling them cover me, it's introducing the idea, making them characters is more difficult, and so they're figuring out the mechanics of that.
Yeah,
I can appreciate that.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm looking forward to it.
And then we actually have 2 funky, weird stories for you this week. Apple has rejected Binding of Isaac Rebirth due to, quote, your app contains content or features that depict violence toward or abuse of children, which is not allowed on the App Store.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's kind of the point. I mean, I think they lost
you're the child
idea.
trying to escape this, and there's also, I mean, there's a good chunk of stuff like, I mean, Baby Mario in Yoshi's Island. That's technically kind of child
violence
abuse
against children.
Yeah, it's just this weird thing. But like, so they've made it. They've managed to put that thing on iPad, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it really is.
And so you want a decent game that you can play whenever? No, that has objectionable content or maybe a Confederate flag. But here I'll tell you what. Here's 10 Clash of Clans clones. Play those.
Play all of those.
Yeah.
But don't play this. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a similar issue whenever they tried to bring out Papers, Please.
Yeah.
They were like, this is sexual nudity. It's like, no. you're supposed to be you're not supposed to be okay with the fact that Isaac's mom is trying to kill him.
Yes.
The entire point is to bring the whole story of Binding of Isaac is a really fascinating look at the idea of religious fanaticism. It's not just restricted to Islam, shocker.
No.
But these are games that are trying to say something, and it seems like Apple. And this is part of the reason that nobody respects the mobile gaming is because they say, I don't know, you're trying to say something that might possibly maybe offend somebody somewhere. Nope. This is an art form. They have something to say. Yeah. Let them say it.
No censorship.
I'm hoping that this will come through. It's on the 3DS.
Yeah.
If Nintendo's okay with it, why do you have a problem?
Yeah. So that's just ridiculous. So tell us in the comments how you feel about the censorship and all that. And if
you've played Binding of Isaac, do you think that that's something that could work on a touch screen? Because I have my doubts.
Bluetooth to an actual controller, sure.
Okay.
That's the only way to do it, but most people don't do that. But that would
if you're going to do Bluetooth through a controller, just put it on a real platform.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sure. Anyways, we'll see you later.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Also on Xbox One, they have the Survival Edition of H1Z1 on Xbox One.
They do?
Mm-hmm.
When did that come out?
Last year. I will verify that. You gonna go buy it?